We're gonna keep running till we can't run anymore. Somebody wants to come. Do you want to come too? No, but you do. I'm not taking him. Let's go for a ride.
Bye, Toby.
Secret to running isn't to just run. It's to genuinely enjoy it and to run where you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable when you're running, you're gonna hate it the whole time. But see how he has it down. Look how comfortable he looks. He's uncomfortable. Dude. But also just imagine that by you running, every step you take, you're physically and mentally healing. Because running's a medicine. And I even have, I'm not gonna claim it, but my knees are not the strongest. And I still enjoy running. Because I believe that the longer I run, or the more I enjoy running, the more I want to take care of my knees. To the first light post. My record is the second one, but I'm kind of glad that she had to stop to pee because I might have passed out. This is why our time is 10 minutes, because he has to stop every 50 yards to pee. This hurts to look at. 10 minutes. And we end with sprints. We're going to see if he feels like sprinting right now. He's a tough boy. He can do it, huh, Hashi boy? Let's see if we can get the angles. There we go. Are you ready, Hashi? Alright, so like Hashi boy always likes to pull me when I'm walking, and then when we sprint, I have to pull him. So sometimes it's pretty difficult to run with him. As you can see, we've got a pretty good distance today, all the way up to the palm tree. Let's go. And now we're walking back. This part is always sucky because he wants to run down the hill, but we already ran up the hill. So the point of going down the hill is to breathe and relax, and he seems to want to do the opposite. As you can see, I'm taking my sweet time, just cruising in my little abode I have over here. And here we go, here we are. We're back from the run, and it's daily message time. Today is the truth about Jesus. I do want to say that I'm going to cite my source. My sources are all from this book, Christ Returns, but also the Bible. And the reason why I trust this book so much is because all the info in this book, only a person of high degree of knowledge or Christ would know all of the information that is shared. And there's a whole history, and I totally welcome you to be curious and prove me wrong and go into this book and really dig and research, like, what is the history about it, how it came up, and all the people who worked together to put this together. And you know who that was? One individual in Christ, all in here. But you can do your research, like always. Keep what resonates, leave what doesn't, as said by Samuel Lee, spiritual psychiatrist. Go check him out too. I highly recommend, and I really resonate. And I'm just going to say my personal relationship with this book is I've been a Christian my whole life. I was born into a Christian family. I would go to church every Sunday. And when my parents didn't go to church, I would ask them every single day to go to church. It would be because I want to hang out with friends, but also because I really do have a strong relationship with Jesus. And not following the Christian church and moving that faith into this truth has not brought in me any punishment. I do not feel like I am being physically punished or mentally punished because I am being curious and I'm pursuing research in this book. And I also want to clarify, it's not just this that has brought me to know this truth, if you want to say truth, this awakened material. It is multiple books, and I could talk about that in another episode, but I just want to say, be curious. I trust this source because I will say, when I was a Christian, having a relationship with Jesus was a hassle, and I could be honest and say that. And living the way I live now, following this book, following the Bible still, but also learning to meditate and trust source, and by following all the material I'm about to share right now about Jesus, I feel not only fulfilled, but I am doing my purpose work. I am doing what I'm meant to be doing because I feel spiritually enlightened or awakened as compared to who I was as a Christian. And again, not saying being Christian is bad. I consider myself a Christian, but I just add a Holy Spirit-led Christian. I still believe in the Bible. I still go to church, but I just don't follow the Bible strictly as strict as I used to, because I'm more inclusive to a lot more the world has to offer, because I believe Christ is in everything. Christ is in every religion, every book, every piece of artwork, and everything. And this book is what really revealed that to me. This resonates with me heavy, and if it doesn't with you, perfectly fine. But let's carry on. Who is Jesus? Jesus is a man who is born on earth. He is Son of Man. And through his time, his upbringing of being born Jesus, you know the story, Virgin Mary, all these things. There was a time in his life where he embodied selfish ego. Jesus, in his youth, was not who he is today. He was just like us. He was controlled by selfish ego. He didn't believe in the Palestine Jewish traditions. He actually was a rebel when it came to those traditions, because since he was Jesus, his mom, Mary, would tell him to go to church and tell him to follow these ways. But he rebelled against these because he felt within his heart that it didn't sit right. So he became, I'd say, like the average man in our society right now. He was a drunkard. He would go around, but he always genuinely loved people, but he would do it in a way where he'd make them laugh, but he would still be a nuisance to some. So from that time of being, let's just say like us, like people, he found John and he decided to get baptized. When this baptism, he felt an overwhelming sensation of enlightenment, spiritual enlightenment, that he felt that he would go into the desert for a period of time.
We got us a location change. Same shirt, different location. Sorry for the confusion. Anyways, so in the desert, he learned the truth about the existence, how everything came to be. And he learned that there is a system of impulses that are a female-male impulse, or I like to call them father-mother impulse. So the father impulse is the survival instincts that we have all within us that can't be explained why we have them. The mother impulse is the nurturing instincts that we have. And it's not about female and male energies in the universe. This is an equilibrium, because male and female are equal in every single way. After his baptism, he fully embodied this spiritual entity that was talking to him, that was talking through him. And in this time of solitude, he was able to get these downloads. And I can go more into what he talked about. Let me know if you want to hear more about it in the comments below. But today is about Jesus. A lot of things happen in the desert. Things that the Bible says that are true, but are a little bit twisted. And we can go into that later. But he is from this situation, being in the desert, he developed this persona of Jesus. And this is where he fully became the Jesus we know in the Bible, the Jesus who loved, Jesus who healed. And this is because he adapted something called divine consciousness. Divine consciousness is Holy Spirit. It's just a different word. But divine consciousness is a loving force that moves within and without all things. It is the purest good that is within all of us. And that's kind of like the God source. Like if you were to think of God, this divine consciousness is God. He is our guide. He is our security. He is radiating love, Jesus. He is there to show us that we as people can become like Jesus, literally like Jesus on earth. We can heal. We could do miracles. We can be Jesus. This is significant because everyone knows who Jesus is. No, even if you're not religious, you know who Jesus is. He is a universal guide that built such a high degree and reputation with us people that the day where he shares his truth, we would be able to trust him. And I believe this truth is in the book Christ Returns that I just showed you. What did he do on earth? He was here to open up our minds and hearts to a true relationship with Christ. Because before, we would just speak to God through priests and prophets. We would have to trust the prophet to tell us what Jesus wants to do, or what God wants to do, But most importantly, he wants to open up our minds from the Jewish traditions and to see the true reality of what we are meant to know about the truth of existence. We are supposed to be set free from burdens and wars. This is not of God. Why would a loving creative source create and use death and violence for his good? Good would not be able to produce bad. That is the exact opposite. Good can only create good, and bad can only create bad. But mainly, he is saving us from repeating the same mistakes, because the more we repeat these mistakes, the more we're going to live about our creation, our existence, doing these over and over again until we learn to listen to what Jesus wants to tell us. We are not meant to fight each other. We are not meant to go to war. We are not meant to be split in religions. We are not meant to debate. We are meant to all love each other, but also express the true divinity within us. When they say in school that be yourself, normal is be unique, because normal is like sucks, that is true. And we haven't been able to truly listen to it because we didn't know what that meant. We didn't know that being ourselves is the true essence of what will make us happy. When we realize that we just need to embody who we think we really are, then that's when we will discover true happiness. He also wanted to reveal the truth about sin. Sin is a clever tool that the priests used back in the day before Jesus, when they tried to make Jesus follow the Jewish traditions. It is a clever tool and fear tactic they use to make us fear to not be curious, fear to not seek the true essence of Christ that we are meant to seek, so that we will follow the Bible, that we will follow different religions that will never know the full truth. Because if you are questioning, if you are confused, if you want to ask more questions, if you're curious, that's bad. That's sinful, because you don't trust, you doubt. But it's not a sin to be curious. We aren't meant to live in sin. And that is because this makes us feel burdened. It makes us feel shameful when we think about a God who's always judging us with any move or thought that we create. That makes us feel self-conscious. That makes us feel shameful for whatever actions we do. So we never are able to express our true authentic selves because we're too scared to. And this is why I don't embody sin. There is an evil entity in the world, but it's not sin. It is your selfish ego. Replace sin with the form of selfish ego, because again, sin isn't real because we are the creators. The God, the source above us, is within us. We are of the essence of source. This is proven because of Jesus. Jesus is Son of Man. We are man. He is not Son of God. He's Son of Man. But he was able to do things like a God. And just like him, we can do that as well. He is just the pinnacle, the person who you want to be on earth, and someone to look up to, not someone to worship. We aren't meant to worship anyone. We are meant to embody and love ourselves. The repeating mistakes come in two forms. There is repeating mistakes in ourselves and repeating mistakes as a society, a universe. So Jesus is a God we look up to, and it's source, and that's Jesus. Source is divine consciousness, by the way. Remember that. So source and Jesus. We just have such a close relationship with Jesus that we often talk to him and source. So that is his purpose. He created a strong relationship with people so that we would have someone to look to as a guide, but not to completely follow step by step. To allow us not to repeat, I will call this recycling, and it's basically reincarnation. We are born into different lives, and before we enter that life, we know all the rules. Let's say that our life is a game. And in the game, there is a way to beat it by following a list of rules. And all these rules come in lessons. With every lesson we learn, we check off the list in our list to ascend to the light, divine consciousness, because that is where we're meant to go. And to do that, there are also people we make contracts with, soul contracts, and those people are meant to be in our lives to then check off these certain things, because we aren't meant to do this on our own. We are meant to do this with other people, because people are made for people, but it's more than that. It's soul for soul, because we are all of divine consciousness. We are one being. We are a unity. Then when we are born on earth, we forget all the ways to beat the game. we are erased, because it's kind of like we chose hard mode. In order to choose hard mode, we would be able to ascend to the light. The process is we are of divine consciousness, equilibrium. And then we are in like a soul state. We are an individual soul now, and we can choose to go to Earth or be a guide for Earth. But a lot of times, like now, I choose to go to Earth. And I know all the rules as a soul because I am of equilibrium. But now I'm an individual form. I know I'm going to forget everything to then go to Earth. So on Earth, we forget all these things because, one, we are of a lower frequency. Divine consciousness source is the highest frequency possible. And Jesus is the highest frequency possible of man that we can be. When we are born with this high frequency because we are all born with as a baby of light. But our society we are developing on our own with guidance from source. We don't know the full truth. So a lot of people do different things to connect to source and God and different religions. So we're all kind of just in this scavenger hunt all together, but we don't even know where the items are. We're just out here trying to do our best as society, but we can look to source for the answers. From there, that's when we can decide to recycle or not, to reincarnate. When you reincarnate, that means that you start over and try to fill out your lists more. It's not that you lose all of the bullet points you've made. You keep those and embody those lists, and you go into another life. There are some lives where some people can get all this list done in one life, but that is very rare. That's why there's multiple lives living at multiple universal dimensions to allow us to not reincarnate. Jesus is sharing his truth with us through this book, Christ Returns, but also through many different outlooks, many different mediums, because nothing is right and nothing is completely wrong. That is why so many different religions and so many different practices resonate with so many different people, because everyone has a different list to fill out. They are just living on instinct. They're living on passion, general knowing. When you have that gut feeling, that is the same feeling they're living off of, knowing that this is the list they're going to fill out. And you'll learn that that gut feeling within you is your discernment, which is from source. Your discernment is telling you what you are meant to do, what you're not meant to do. It is a trust of faith. And that's why when you doubt for one moment, that's why it doesn't work. Recycling on a world aspect, society, is a little bit more difficult. But once you focus on yourself, healing yourself to be like Jesus on earth, then that light will spread to other people like a Mandela effect. Because if one person has this light and truly embodies it, people will be curious. People will wonder, how did you do that? Why did you do that? And how can I do that? Naturally, they will, because they want what you have. They do, because we are all unity, remember? Even if they don't feel like they don't want it now, that is perfectly fine, because everyone's journey is also different. But eventually, we are all meant to live in unity, in love, and happiness. The miracle healings Jesus did on earth. So, he was able to heal people. And you may ask, well, if he was Son of Man, why was he able to heal people? Because again, we are the creators, and we have the godly power within us. And the reason why his healings work so well is because he was Jesus. They already built that image of him in the Bible, that Jesus would come to earth and heal people. The only reason why it worked is because Jesus fully believed he would heal them, and they fully believed they would heal them. That's why now people have trouble with it, because they don't have the reputation that Jesus has been built upon. But we can. That's the thing. We totally can. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do. This whole time in our lives in middle school, they've been telling us, be yourself. Whatever you put your mind to, do it. These are all true. Everything you want to do, everything you wholeheartedly want to do with the passion, you can do. It's just that we have been programmed to doubt, to fear, to worry about money, family, school, all these different things that are trickling in our lives are blocking our vision. We are blinded because we have been raised in a society that doesn't know how to see clearly unless it's with divine source. Again, why is this all important? Because we are the gods on this earth. We create the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven isn't equilibrium that I was talking about. Kingdom of heaven is here on earth. This is hell and heaven. We have the power to create it. Once the majority chooses to create that, then that's when heaven will be on earth. That's why this is hell. They call it the fourth dimension. If you look up Samuel B. Lee, I will tag him. I will put some links. He talks about the fourth dimension with evil entities or disembodied entities. When you do mushrooms, when you do drugs that you're not familiar with and you don't protect yourself, when you do ceremonies where you're connecting to your spiritual self, you can have these disembodied entities latched to you. These are true, but once you take out the fear, they can't feed off on you anymore. They are only feeding off of fear. And again, this is not because of sin, it's because you're afraid. So your selfish ego is all the negative aspects in your life. Fear, ego, judgment, rejection, criticism. All these things are what are blinding you, not allowing you to see clearly, to do your purpose work, to be our authentic self. Like I was saying, we create heaven on earth. Once the majority chooses to be like sheep, not like goats, the sheep will be able to help the world heal. And those who choose to still be goats, they have full freedom of choice to do that, because freedom of choice is still very relevant. That is why we are able to do so many things without being punished, because the gods within us have a freedom to choose to be their spiritual selves and to connect with their divine source, or not just be a goat. And again, why is this important? Jesus showed us to remember who we are. Remember that we are divine consciousness. We are gods because God is within us. We are like Jesus. What we can do is be like Jesus. Follow in his steps. And there is no perfect way to do this. Again, that is the beauty of living on earth, that we can choose whatever path we resonate with. There is no correct path. There is no, you need to read the Bible, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to be baptized. No. Right now, my path, it was Bible, wrestling, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, which connected with Christ Returns, which then connected with different outlooks of other people. Like I have dabbled in Reiki, I have dabbled in crystals. Everyone's journey is different. There's no perfect journey for someone. That is why it's such a beautiful process, because you connect to your authentic self to find your journey, to ascend, to fill out all those bullet points, to fill out those check marks, to beat the game. Follow the Jesus steps with complete faith, but also discernment, but never bring doubt and fear in the mix, because remember, disembodied entities feed off fear. And even if you don't have a disembodied entity attached to you, why would you want to carry this fear that is burdening you, that is feeding off of your selfish ego? You can release this. You can dissolve all of these things that are not of divine consciousness, that are of selfish ego. This is possible. And this can be possible by choosing to choose love every day, moment by moment, choosing to follow Jesus' footsteps, to have faith, to love, to have justice, but not because of revenge, because justice will be naturally given to those who deserve them. And the love for Jesus is present. It is always present. It's just misinterpreted. And again, if I were to put a percentage on the Bible, I would say the Bible is 80% correct and 20% incorrect. And that's just my personal resonation. But I say that because a lot of things are misinterpreted. A lot of things are not completely true. Same thing for this book. I speak highly of Christ Returns. I think personally this book is 99% true and 1% not true. But this can be different for many other people. There isn't just one book that's going to solve your life. It is you choosing the journey to find that end goal, to be your authentic self, to ascend, to fill out the bullet points. Thank you for watching today. I will see you again. As always, keep what resonates and leave what doesn't.
we need to sort of play catch up.